What an unbelievable comeback for your Broncos. 31-28 over the Chicago Bears, eliminating a 21-point deficit late in the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter. And I think we should really start the postgame show off by saying congratulations to the Chicago Bears. And Caleb Williams, you are a Chicago Bear, because this was the ultimate toilet bowl game. We had both winless teams squaring off in Carolina and in Chicago, and ultimately Denver ends their losing streak. They are 1-3 on the season, thanks to a very dramatic comeback effort against Justin Fields and the Bears. It was looking pretty dark and gloom for Vance Joseph on the show for a while. They were making the Bears offense and Justin Fields, who was the worst in the NFL, look like one of the best offenses for much of the game. And I'm not going to totally excuse this Vance Joseph-led defense, because I still remember when it said 28-7. But Jonathan Cooper, Nick Bonito, not your usual suspects always, coming up with huge plays in the second half. And then Russell Wilson. This team has not always looked so pretty so far, but he has quietly put together a very strong and consistent start to the year. He went 21 for 28, 223 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I did it for you. I went and looked on the ESPN win percentage tracker. At one point, the Chicago Bears had a 98% chance to win. Denver grabbing victory from the jaws of defeat. So let's get some W's in the chat, because yes, it was not probably the most perfect way to win a game, being down 21 points, but hey, a win is a win, right? Winning is better than losing. I think we can all agree on that. And ultimately, this is not a season to rebuild and tank, right? This is a season to start getting winning culture reinstated in Denver under Sean Payton. And you don't do that year one by losing 12, 13, 14 games. So credit to the Broncos. They made the plays that had to be made in the second half, and they really stole one from the Bears, who got to feel bad for Bears fans right now. That must have been tough to watch. I don't quite know what they were thinking going for it on the Broncos 18-yard line, 4th and 1, instead of just taking the lead. Denver got away with one there. The Broncos have not been the best coach team, best executed team on the field through the first 3-4 weeks of the season, but the Bears, they showed up, and they were the Chicago Bears that has lost 14 straight games right now with some awful decision-making. But 31-28, we're going to talk more about some of the highlights here and some stats, so let's get into it. Starting on the offensive side, 311 yards, 214 through the air, and that brings us to 97 on the ground, and the Javonte Williams injury news. So Javonte Williams suffered a hip injury in the game. He was ruled out, and he did not come back to the game. In his spot, Jaleel McLaughlin played really well. I mean, he came away with a touchdown, and he just, I don't know, the run game looked a little bit better. Let's just call it what it is. Like, I thought the run game showed, excuse me, I lost my voice, showed a little bit more spark and a little bit more life. And I don't know how long Javonte Williams could be out for, if he is going to miss some time. If he does miss time, there is a real possibility, hot take here, Jaleel McLaughlin does not return the starting role back to Javonte Williams. Like, what has Williams done? I know it's been a tremendous story. His injury comeback has been so inspirational for players across the league. But just talking about what Williams has done on the field, I don't think we have seen enough from Williams to say when he returns, no matter what happens in his absence, if there is an absence, he gets the starting job back. This might be one of those instances where Jaleel McLaughlin gets an opportunity and runs with it, right? He had 72 yards, 1 total touchdown, had a receiving touchdown, first score of the game, and then Chicago went on to go up 28-7 before Courtland, Sutton, and Jonathan Cooper and everyone else got involved in the scoring to turn things around. But Russell Wilson, let's talk more about the offense here. He was 21 for 28. Once again, an accurate performance from number 3. We didn't get to see a lot of those accuracies. We didn't see a lot of the accuracy that we saw in Seattle last year in Denver, but that seems to be coming back more and more by the week. 223 yards and 3 touchdowns. This is one of those games where you're happy about the win, so you're going to try and tune out all the bad. But I'm going to be a tiny rain cloud for a moment, and no one wants to hear this guy. But when your team trails 28-7, there are some things that need to be corrected, right? This is not a game where you come out big, you know what, in the locker room thinking, we're on top of the NFL power rankings after this one. You went down 28-7 to arguably the worst team in football. There is still a lot to work on for the Broncos. Now, before we get on to the rest of the highlights and the recap for today's episode, today's show is being supported by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is a daily fantasy sports app where all you have to do is pick more or less for 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. Prize Picks is super simple and user-friendly. I spend 1 to 2 minutes on the app every Sunday morning making my selections. So if you're in the Oval Office or you're on your way to the game, get on Prize Picks and start making some money. Now, this past week on Prize Picks, I went 1 for 3. I'm not afraid to, show my losses. I took more on Desmond Ridder passing. He came up 2 yards shy. That was a bad beat right there. I took less on Najee Harris. The Steelers lost to the Texans. I kind of thought was going to happen. That's why I took less on Harris, but he still put up 70 yards on the ground. I took more on Stephon Diggs for 79.5 yards. He blew that out of the water, 120 yards, 3 touchdowns. So I went 1 for 3, but 1.5 for 3 because I'm going to give myself half credit for Desmond Ridder coming up that close. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. The link for that is in the comments and the description of today's video. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Let's run through some other takeaways and stats from this game, starting with the receivers here. So Jerry Jeudy, who did not start the game officially, remember, he kind of dealt with a knee injury throughout the week in practice. He finished altogether with 3 grabs for 52 yards. But once again, Marvin Mims continues to be a big play machine for Denver. Just 2 grabs, but 47 yards. So an average of a little under 25 yards a reception. And then Jaleel McLaughlin, 3 receptions, 32 yards, and 1 touchdown. Courtland Sutton also got involved in the scoring department. Brandon Johnson is a red zone machine. New game plan in the red zone. Throw it to Brandon Johnson. It works 80% of the time, 100% of the time. Keep going to Brandon Johnson in the red zone. Him and Courtland Sutton might not be great in between the 20s, but when you get inside the 20, they are money. Now, as for Chicago's offense, and that kind of brings us to Vance Joseph's defense, 471 yards. Justin Fields was, I think, 25 for 26 at one point, 24 for 25. Justin Fields was one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL coming in this Sunday. When you let that guy go 24 for 25 for over 300 yards and 4 touchdowns, sure, the defense rallied at the end. Jonathan Cooper, Nick Bonito, Kareem Jackson's interception. That is going to wash away the bad taste out of your mouth of what Denver's defense was looking like. But I'm not going to be a big prisoner of a 3-point victory because the Bears were idiots and went for it on 4th and 1 instead of kicking a go-ahead field goal. And they let Justin Fields look like the number 1 quarterback in the NFL. I don't think this defense is fixed. I don't think that they come out of this game going, defense is back, baby, right? Got the picks or got the scoop and score, got the interception. Defense is ready to go. No, I'm going to say it. Someone's got to say it. Justin Fields being 24 for 25 for how awful he was the first 3 weeks is unacceptable. And there's only one defense in the NFL that would let that happen. Vance Joseph. He's still on my hot seat. Khalil Herbert on the ground, 18 carries, 103 yards for Chicago. The Bears were doing everything they wanted to do for about 45, 50 minutes of this game. And credit to Denver for turning things around in the last 10 minutes. And ultimately, they got the job done. And so that's all that matters. But that does not excuse 45-ish minutes, 40, give or take, of really bad play by the Broncos. So I kind of had this take last year when Denver beat when Denver beat the Texans. And everyone's like, you're being so negative. They won. Shut up and be happy. And I was like, yeah, they won, but does anyone think they're going to come out of this game, a team that's about to win a few more? I'm still not sold that Denver comes out of this game and starts to turn around, right? The Lions last year were 1-6, and they were so close to making the playoffs. The Houston Texans in 2018 were 0-3. They made the playoffs. Denver's 1-3, and now they get ready for the Kansas City Chiefs next week. There is a lot to work on defensively. Letting Justin Fields go 24 for 25, that's not a good thing. for this Denver Broncos defense. So let me know. I know this is a doom and gloom question after a win, but I think it's a little bit like storming the field when you have a dramatic comeback win, but the opponent was Middle Tennessee State University. You probably should have taken care of business from the get-go against them, but a win's a win. So let me know. Will Vance Joseph make it until Week 18? Will he get fired? Yes or no down below in the comment section. All right, that's going to do it for us on our post-game show today. The Denver Broncos are 1-3. The Chicago Bears are 0-4. And I think a good round of applause is deserving for the Chicago Bears. They currently have the number 1 and the number 2 overall pick. So it could have been Denver potentially getting Caleb Williams, but it's looking like the Bears are going to have that tiebreaker and be lower in the draft when we get to April.